microphone there.
I got to hear you applaud the sheriff and Blaine. They put it all together.
Thank you. All right, you gotta do me a favor, because I'm gone for 3 weeks. Today's the first day I'm leaving, so my 3-year-old before I said, "Daddy, please don't go." So on 3, I want everybody to say hi, Kelly, okay? All right, so let's, I gotta learn how to work on these. Okay, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Kelly! Thank you. All right. Okay, so my apologies for not being here before the film. I usually say a couple of words and kind of tell the story about how this film can't get itself distributed. But that is no longer really true, because I will tell you that my cell phone is on fire. Did anybody here see me on the O'Reilly Factor the other night? We have tried so hard to get on one of those shows. And Tuesday morning, God strike me down if I'm lying. Tuesday morning, I was sitting there with my wife doing the 3-week tour. It's very expensive. I'm paying for it all now. And we're doing this GOP convention on August 30, 1,200 seats. So the second check is due for the Tampa Theater. And my wife's like, should I take it out of our account or the business account? 2 seconds later, my phone rings, and it's John Rowland, the guy who is in Florida. And he says, what do you got planned tonight?
He's an alien.
Getting ready for Florida. He says, no, you're not. You go to New York, you're going to be on the Factor. Because he pulled the string and something else happened or whatever, you know. And let me tell you something. My phone is on fire. As I'm traveling the country, I'm also making a film. And it's sort of like this film, where in the beginning I'm just like a total dummy, I don't know what's going on. And by the end, I'm just a little bit of a smarter dummy. And where I am at this point is, I gotta tell you something, it really has saved us. If you take the factor out of it, it's been the Tea Party. I had a woman, we have, back in Long Island, I live on the East End, better known to you folks as the Hamptons. But before you get the wrong impression of me, there is this thing, there's the road, one lane road. Has anybody here ever been in the Hamptons? Okay. So on Route 27, that goes through the Hamptons. You have south of the highway, which is Steven Spielberg, and Alec Baldwin, and a few other people. And then north of the highway, you've got your average person. I live on the highway, okay? So that kind of puts it into perspective. But I mean, that's the highway is where I found that guy. But anyway, I opened the film up because I couldn't get into any of the theaters. I had to rent this place called Guildhall. It's really swanky. The locals don't go there. It's for all the city people that come in during the summer. Alec Baldwin gave the place $250,000. And so I rented out, it's just as big as this, every seat filled, 200 people get turned away. And when the film is over, a woman comes up to me and says, oh, I'll help you sell this movie. And I said, well, how? She said, you got DVDs? Not yet, I'm not supposed to. DVDs come at the end. She goes, oh, I'm part of the Tea Party. I said, what's a Tea Party? And she says, oh, you'll find out. So we went to the theater, and here we go again. And from there, because we always sell DVDs at the end, except for tonight, when Blaine bought all the DVDs for you folks. So we sell, yeah. So these people, we took the DVDs, I made the DVDs, and these people are buying 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, and they're shipping them out to people. And I'm like, all right. And then all of a sudden I start getting Tea Party people calling me. Can I show this at a show? Can I show this at a meeting? Can you come to here? Can you come to there? And slowly but surely, my DVD sales are going like this. And I'm saying, all right, we'll never play in theaters, but we're playing in people's homes. And to me, that's more important. So long story short, I mean, the Tea Party's been funny. So now, as I travel the country, I don't have it tonight. I forgot my camera at home. My camera crew's coming down to Florida. We're shooting a movie about the Tea Party. And, and it's titled Saved by Patriots, because my movie, as far as I'm concerned, has been saved by patriots. And so far, from what I've gathered from the Tea Party, that's also going to save America. So that's my opinion. take them all.
Hold on, I'll bring a microphone there.
Okay. When I start to lean towards one side, just yell at me.
And Dennis, the sheriff, is here too. If anyone has hope.
Yeah, anybody wants to ask the sheriff or Blaine a question? Please.
At the beginning of the movie, you talked about Democrats thinking that illegal immigrants are a voter registration tool for the future. And you talked about Republicans not saying anything about illegal immigration because of business interests in low-cost labor. Is that why?
From what I've been able to tell,
everybody's, every official person in America is ignoring this? Is that why?
Yeah, I'm really tired of the ignoring thing. And if there's one thing I'm sort of proud of that I've been doing is, I don't back down very easy. And they run from me. And I would tell you that if I had to size it up, it's cheap votes, cheap labor, and nobody's willing to get on TV and really say how it is. And that's why, yesterday when I was on the Factor, I was like, millions of people saying, thank goodness somebody's finally doing it. I got nothing to lose other than my life at this point, I guess. But what are they going to do? Sue me? Go ahead, you can take my house on the highway. You can't experience 9/11 like I did, like this, and saying, okay, I know I'm in movies, but I don't know. I still, to this point, the hair on my arm stands up when I talk about it. You can't experience 9/11. You cannot experience people in the snow. You cannot experience people crying to you when the camera's off that their son was killed by an illegal immigrant who was driving, but they're afraid to say anything about it on camera because they're afraid their court case could get screwed up. When did it become wrong to complain about illegalities taking place in your town, your state, your country? I just don't get it. So, yeah, man, I wish there were some more brave people. I don't know, maybe Blaine will run for president. Anybody here with a question?
In your video, you talked about they couldn't get benefits from the Social Security Department. I unfortunately had to go down there in February because my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and was dying. And when I asked about widow's benefits or benefits to help me with my 4 children that are still at home, I was told I got $251. That's it. I get no benefits. I get nothing. I'm fortunate enough to have some life insurance, but it's going to be very tough. So when I was in there and that lady told me this, I turned around and 80% of the people sitting there waiting their turn did not know English. And some of them had no skills in English, and they couldn't even understand sit and wait your turn. We have forgotten about ourselves. Anybody who is a caregiver for anyone in a situation like mine has got to remember to take care of themselves first, or you're committing suicide. And this is what we're doing to ourselves.
I agree with you 100%. So what I want to say off that, first of all, is I'm very sorry to hear you're going through that. If there is anything I can say to you is that when I talk about my cell phone being on fire, half of it's DVD sales, half of it's people telling me stories like you just did. No, you're not. And, when you get on an airplane, human nature is to always take care of your child first before you. But what does the stewardess say when, she's going through the in case we go down routine? She says, when the air mask comes down, put it on yourself before you put it on the person next to you. Because if you are not healthy, you can't take care of anybody. And our country is extremely sick. And we're not taking care of people like yourself. And I hope things turn around for you. At the same time, I want to say something else as well. In that situation, it's very hard not to look back at people who can't speak the English and are going in to get services. I really think one of the ways to fix this problem is to not look back and get so mad at them. It's the politician who's sitting in his office right now enjoying his health insurance that you should go to with a screaming bat in your hand?
Yes, Mr. Lynch, I have a couple of questions.
Mr. Lynch is my father. I'm Dennis. Call me Dennis.
Mr. Dennis Lynch, sorry. So the gentleman that you interviewed out in the Colorado desert, do you mean to imply that the reason he couldn't find a job is because of illegal immigration, the sole reason?
He, as you heard, now you got to think about this. When you make a movie, you have to get what's called an appearance release. So let's say, for instance, I want you to be my Tea Party movie, and I'm going to interview you. First, you have to sign the paper that says I could use your person, et cetera, so forth. And you say, well, what's the movie about? I'm going to tell you, it's about the Tea Party. When I'm driving through, that guy doesn't know I'm making a legal immigration movie. I take my camera, I turn it on, and I say, what happened to you? And he says, I'm being undercut by the people who are coming here from other countries. They can't even speak English, and I got to cut the movie down as long as it is. So I'm sitting here, I'm saying, my goodness, this is why I drove home to see this man. So the answer is yes. I said, what do? I do drywall, I do painting, I cut lawns, I do any kind of manual labor. And I'm good at it, but I can't get the job because they're undercutting me. So the answer is yes.
So you feel, honestly, that the primary reason that guy couldn't get a job is because of, quote, illegal immigration?
I feel that my camera went on and said, what happened to you? And he gave me the answer. That's what he feels. I don't think it matters what it is that I feel.
Well, it does, because you're the one that's promoting this whole situation. But let me ask you a question.
Why don't you make your point instead of trying to back end the question? You would like to say that man is not out of work because of illegal immigration.
Well, I'm asking you what you think.
Well, now I'm going to ask you. Because listen, I just stand on the stage. I'm a regular guy, just like you. I like beer, steak, and I curse too much.
I suspect
so you
he
tell
has,
me, as you know.
I suspect he has some drug issues, alcoholism, substance abuse, no telling what.
That's racial profiling.
Okay. That's not racial.
Next question, please. That goes so far, and I lose my patience. You cannot look at somebody. That's like me looking at you right now and say, this guy must be a fisherman. And you know what? You could be a lawyer. I wouldn't do that to you. You can't do that to somebody who's living in the snow.
I mean, you're promoting a certain agenda here, and I think I have the right to
You have the right.
understand what your agenda is.
And I have the right to disagree with you politely. Go ahead. Ma'am, I think you had your hand up somewhere. All right, let's be nice to each other. I don't want anybody to be mean to anybody.
I was just going to ask you, being in the Hamptons and where you live, do they still make you pay their taxes that are way up?
I bet they take it out, you big.
Yeah. I mean, I have, yeah. Next question, I have over here, yeah. Sir?
Yes, from what I get from the movie is you do support deporting people back to where they came from. Is that correct? If they're here illegally, that is the case, obviously.
I missed your question.
Oh, okay. Well,
you said in this movie I support the Tea Party?
No. What I gather is you support people who are coming across the Mexican-American border, being deported back to wherever they come from.
You obviously have a multi-part question, so let's break it down. Let's break it down.
Sure.
I got what you just said. Let me repeat it for other people. So you just said, obviously, I support deporting people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At what point in the movie? First half, middle, or second half did I ever say that?
Well, you don't have to say... Mike. You don't have to say that in a very direct way. It seems clear to me, but, I am asking because maybe I'm incorrect in...
Well, let me ask the guy. Don't ask me. Let's ask the general audience. Did anybody ever hear me render an opinion in this movie? Okay. So I didn't put my opinion in.
Well, I do see a lot of Europeans in the crowd tonight. I wonder if they should be deported back to where they're from as well. I actually see one right here. Maybe I should go back to,
You know what? I don't think. Okay.
Should we all be...
All right, let's stay. Here's why this problem never gets solved. Here's why this problem never gets solved. This problem never gets solved because somebody says something and somebody gets upset about it, whoever else it may be. Sir, with all politeness, I understand where you're coming from in terms of the way you want to answer your question. It's not easy to get up in front of people and articulate it. I look out right now, and I see two kinds of people. You know what they are? Men and women. That's it. And by the way, I did not meet one person my entire journey, including the people from Numbers USA or FAIR, who ever said, round them up and deport them. I never heard anybody say that one time. And by the way, you can check me out on Facebook, okay? And periodically I'll go in and I'll respond. There are people who say on Facebook, yo, this is a white nation. And I tell them, go away. Okay? So, go ahead.
You had in the movie one individual that said, I have, and I'm going to paraphrase, I have no intention of becoming an American citizen. Now, I realize you have to cut a lot of things out of that movie. Did you find a preponderance of illegal immigrants?
6.5 out of 10 that I met really didn't care whether or not they were American or not. You know, they were the 3.5. Like when you're looking at the 4 kids in the ESL, the one girl who's sitting in the middle, she's from Colombia. I mean, you know, the girl had American flag underwear on. I mean, she just loves America. I mean, she's everything about her. She says, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. I didn't get that. I got it a lot in Chicago when you saw the scene at the valedictorian. You know, a lot of those kids said, you know, we just want to get back. We cut the credits. You know? The girl at the valedictorian, I asked her in the credits, what would be the return on investment for Americans if you were given the ability to be an American? She says, well, we give back. I'm dying to give back. So I did hear that. But unfortunately, I heard too many people laughing, you know, that they're going to pay for my son, which ain't going to happen.
Up here in the back.
Is anybody in the back?
Up here, back here, straight ahead.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to thank you for the film. Thank you for being here. Thank the great Sheriff Blaine. Quick comment to you about the movie. You know, although you can see that movie and feel helpless, you know, what can you do? I want to applaud the Tea Party and these two leaders here, the sheriff and this executive, because we are taking Maryland back come November. We are going to vote down in-state tuition for illegal aliens in this state. We are people that have last say in this state, so we are making some progress. One thing I wanted to say is that the lady over there whose husband is suffering from pancreatic cancer, you will be very surprised to know that criminal aliens that are scheduled to be deported out of this country, right before they are deported, we are performing heart transplants, kidney transplants. If you're transgendered, we give you 2 years worth of hormone therapy. We did 58,000 extensive oral surgeries on these are criminals that have been through the courts and are ready to be deported, and the taxpayers are paying for this kind of stuff. So today, be happy because Chris Kobach filed a lawsuit against Obama's amnesty today. Judicial Watch did last week. And Congressman Steve King is filing it a couple of days before Labor Day. And the Tea Party and people like Mr. Lynch and these two great leaders are going to take not only the state back, but this country back.
Yeah. Is anybody up there in the control booth? If you are, if you can turn down the microphone a little bit, and because the movie was kind of loud too, I appreciate it. I want to comment to that very quickly, though. And this is another, and I appreciate the accolades, okay? But that's not why I'm up here. I mean, I say it all the time. I started this as a hungry filmmaker. I stand here as a concerned citizen. If this is the last movie I ever make, which obviously it's not, if it was, so be it. You know, I'm more concerned right now about the future of this country and the future for my children, to be quite honest, if that's selfish of me. But the other side here is when you said what you just said, was that who cares about these people if they're sick? I don't think I've ever met an American who, if there was any person in front of them, illegal or not, and they were suffering, wouldn't go down and help them. So it's not a point of not wanting to give somebody heart surgery. It's the point of the fact that the situation as it is right now is making it feel like we're giving everybody heart transplants ourselves. Okay? So I think it's an important note the next time you say that to somebody, let's say, listen, I have no problem with helping the guy who's down on the ground, but we have to do it the right way. I think it's an important part, because really, I get asked all the time, how do you solve this problem? The first thing you have to do is you have to stop calling each other racists. You got to stop screaming at each other. You got to stop saying things that people didn't say, like I didn't say deport all, and I didn't say I'm all for this and all for that. When you take somebody's words and you spin them, look what happened with me and you. Could have started as just being a nice conversation. You look like a nice guy. I'd have a nice conversation. I'd buy you a beer, 2 beers. Or you can buy me the beer. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't get to have that conversation. Because what happened? As much as I do this all the time, and I'm trained to do it, I still felt attacked by the way that you said what you said. And I'm not attacking you. I'm saying next time we have a conversation, let's shake hands, hey, I'm Dennis, hey, I'm whoever. And, I'm feeling like you want to deport people. Try it that way. That's the first way. You catch more, right? You catch more bees with honey than you do with sandpaper.
But my point is, you stabilize that illegal alien criminal that's ordered deported and send him back to his country. You don't let an American die waiting for a heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to know from you, and you hear from your family, you would all or you get threats.
Absolutely. 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 I find it very sad that I have to walk in here and have 3 people. I don't know. There's probably 4 guys sitting here right now making sure that nobody's going to come get me. I've had the lug nuts on my car taken off. I got 4 kids. Now, little Kelly just said, hello, we're driving, going on vacation, and the wheel goes, I pull over, 1 lug nut's missing, they're all loose. 2 days later, the lug nut, or I should say, when we came back, was in my mailbox. So yeah, so we get, I get it. I get people all the time calling me racist, and I say the same thing, I'm not a racist.
I have a question, please.
No, you know what? Listen, it took me 7 hours today. It should have taken me 6 hours. For 5.5 hours, I was checking my email. I got a better chance dying on my own stupidity than at somebody else's. I'm up here right now without a bullet point vest. I mean, they want to shoot me? Go ahead.
I have a question for you, please. Back here.
Wait, before you go, this lady was like this. And when I spoke, I had that happen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I understand some of the feelings that some of these kids between the ages of, 5 and 6 and up to 30-something. Can somebody explain to me, or maybe you can do a documentary on this, as to why they can't apply for citizenship when they can speak English, they know the history. Why are they protesting? Why aren't they just going through the path and becoming citizens the normal way?
Because they've been allowed to go to the Superman movie, and instead of wait on the 400-person line, they figured they could just get into the movie by cutting the line, and the guy collecting the ticket said, go right ahead. They don't want to have to go back. I mean, there are penalties that right now, I'm not a lawyer, right? So I say something wrong here. I don't want somebody to be on the internet. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But if somebody's been here for like 5 years, how you prove that, I don't know, and you get caught doing something, you have to leave, and you have to wait a certain period of time, which is very lengthy, before you can even apply again.
But that's if you've done something illegal. That's not if you're legal, is it?
I think no matter what, the fact that you're in here and you have gone past a certain time frame, and I used to know this all the time, and when I first started, I forgot it, but it is a very, very hard process if you're here illegally to get here legally, unless you get an instant amnesty. I have to go there and I'll be back, and then I forgot about this side. I'll be back.
Okay, and that's okay. In the beginning of the film, you mentioned that you voted once.
I wait for that. I can't believe how long it took.
I just wonder, are you voting in everything that you can vote these
Listen,
days?
I'll be the first person online to vote. I'm going to vote for President Obama. No. I will be voting for the rest of my life, believe me. One of the things I tell people is that, there's too many people like me sitting on the sidelines. And, a lot of times you hear, they should get the Latino vote. To me, I don't believe in this sort of thing. Just go get the American vote. Get people like me off their ass and get them into voting. So I'm looking at that. Let me tell you one thing. Okay? My first film, The King of the Hamptons thing you heard about, right? I sold out the Hamptons Film Festival 2 times. Unbelievable. And but the next morning, I started making this film. And I'm standing on stage with Christy Brinkley, standing right next to me, the most beautiful woman you've ever seen. I mean, God was having a good day on that day. The only way you can tell how old she is by her hands. I mean, the woman is flawless. And it was like such a great moment. But I gotta tell you something. I'll sell that every day to get the applause you give me when I'm up here. Because you're not applauding for my movie skills. You're applauding because I gave you the story that you've been dying to hear. Okay? So I tell people when I'm sitting there, even with my buddies, I'm like, guys, you have no idea how good it feels to be like a better American. And it really is the truth. It's not BS. That's why I'm touring the country.
Mr. Lynch, this is the second time I watched your movie, your documental.
Yeah, you were in Rockville.
Yes.
Yeah, see, let me tell you something. I'm a cop myself. I scan the crowd and average. I knew it. Go ahead.
And
I even know what you said at Rockville. Go ahead.
Yes,
are you continuing that sentence?
Well, I was undocumented for 14 years. I just applied for my permanent residency on February 29th.
All right.
But I feel for the undocumented students, I help a lot of students to go to college and also to get in-state tuition because they were in the process of getting their green cards. It's actually a lengthy process, and I think if we ever want to solve this issue for legal immigration, we need to also speed up the process to get documents. And I hope at the end is the best for America. You know, I could be Mauricio, the guy in your movie, but I'm a guy in a suit, a prospective law student. I'm gonna try to do my best to stay in this country, and you know, I hope you continue shooting movies, but also showing my side of the story.
Yeah, but there's a few things I want to state about that. You were in Rockville, okay? And here's some perfect. You were in Rockville, and Jeff was in Westminster. I didn't get to experience the protesters outside today, but I already know what's going to be. And when I was at Westminster, I showed up. They were there. They were here for 5 minutes. They got up. They walk out. And I imagine if you're Latino, the first 5 minutes of this film, 10, 15 minutes is tough. And they got up. And they walked out. And I followed them outside. And I said, "Why'd you do that?" And I went to go shake their hand, and they wouldn't shake my hand. So I asked them, "Please come back to Rockville the next night." Now, you were there. You saw they were double the amount. And they all came in with the tape over their mouths. And they did the line thing, and they were showing their whole thing. Eventually, they took the tape off. I went outside, and I talked to one of the guys who I asked the night before. I said, "Just stay here tonight and watch this film." Not only did they stay, but you saw it. All the people, the first question I asked folks was, who in this room hates these kids? And people were like, what? Oh, we don't hate you, we hate illegal immigration. Then the illegal student gets up and says, well, we don't hate you either. I mean, I told my wife, I get the goosebumps in. I told my wife, it's the 5th most beautiful thing I've ever seen. My 4 kids that night. All right? And then, when I went out, when I got escorted by the cops at Rockville, they were all there. I was at the Billy of the Beast, right? And I get escorted out. They're all standing in the back of my car. And I'm like, oh, God. And you know what they asked? Mr. Lynch, could we take a picture with you? 24 hours I go from you won't shake my hand to you want to take a picture with me. Right? Why? Because we just talked about it in a nice way. Now, so I agree with you. I don't look at those students like I look at Miguel or the guy in the ESL class. I mean, my 3-year-olds right now won't even know when I show the video what it is that you said. You know? So, I mean, think about that. 2 years old, you could manipulate anything. And I understand where you get upset because they're trying to take that in-state tuition and, you know, there's that tense there. But Mauricio, I'm going to say this because I don't want you to be a Mauricio, the guy in the film that everybody feels bad for. He came over here with $25,000 cash. How many 16-year-olds do you know in this great city that has $25,000 cash available? The reason why he had it is because his dad was here for 12 years and saved over $100,000 and bought a farm that's the size of East Hampton, New York. And that's big in Ecuador. He's now one of the richest guys with lots of cows, and he gave his son the money to come over. Mauricio came over, he started making his money. You know what the first thing he did is? He bought a piece of property back in Ecuador with the cash he made, in case he ever gets deported. You know? Now the difference between Mauricio and maybe some of these other guys, Mauricio when he went out, bought himself a brand new 2-year-old, if you want to call it, SUV. That was off lease. 15 grand. Next day, crashed. Goes to the hospital, gets a $14,000 bill, and he did pay the bill. So now, Mauricio went from being flush with cash to not having a dollar to his name. You know? So, you know, I know everybody feels bad for Mauricio, but, you know, when you start peeling back the cover here, and you start seeing the whole story, I mean, there were many times I was not happy with Mauricio. He was telling me how much cash he had just laying around when he first started coming here. Tom, the guy in the film, has become my friend. He's become my friend because we have a leak in our roof. And we had to call a roofer. I said, oh, man, I'm not calling a roofer. We're going to Southampton. Let's get Tom. Now Tom's doing my roof. You know? And then when he's not there, how many times have you called a contractor? Okay, I need a new roof. And you've heard, this is back in the old days. Yeah, it'll be about 6-7 months. Yeah. Call a roofer today. I need a roof. I'll be over in 5 minutes. Why do you think that is? I want to tell my GM story. You got anybody here other than Jeffrey watching my videos online? No? Good. I want to tell you a GM story. So I'm on a radio. I do a lot of radio stuff. And I have a guy who's, you know, countering me. And he says, you know, you want to blame everything on illegal immigrants, which isn't true. But I said, well, what do you mean? He says, why is the guy who got laid off from GM, how do you blame that on illegal immigrants? So, very easy. I want you to paint yourself this picture as I tell you this. Guy's been busting his ass for 20 years. Gets laid off at the GM plant. Goes home, knows he only has $5,000 saved. He's got to tell his wife that he no longer can pay the mortgage, which is due in 10 days, by the way. So he walks in and tells his wife, he says, honey, I'm laid off. I don't know how we're going to pay the mortgage. I know we got the $5,000. And she's the supportive wife that we all love. And she says, honey, maybe this is the break that we needed. It's the fresh start. Take the $5,000, go out, you're so good with your hands. Start that carpentry business. Maybe you could just start replacing windows, and maybe you could do some siding, and we could build it up. And this is what we needed. So the guy goes, and he takes the $5,000, and he buys the tools, and he gets the licensing, and he gets the insurance, and he puts his little ads in, and he can't get a job. His $5,000 is gone. Why? Because all the jobs in that area are going to the illegal aliens who are undercutting him by an unbelievable percentage. That's a true story. On that, because they don't pay tax, they don't have to pay the taxes. You know, there's a big difference between paying federal income tax and tax on sales tax. You know, so yeah, and that's one of the things we're letting these people undercut us. So, but I should also mention something else. They work very hard, so that's where the greed comes in, because they're, you know, the employer is getting a lot more for a lot less. I haven't been on this side. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
I just wanted to say I appreciated it overall. I just wanted to know that I appreciated the fact that the immigrants were dehumanized. I thought it did humanize them. I thought that there was sympathy for the humanity of the people. I appreciate your effort at dialogue rather than diatribe. I am from an immigrant family. My husband is from Iran, and he did come legally, and all of our relatives that are here all came legally, and I think they're great assets to this country. They're brilliant people who work hard and who love this country.
I'm going to come back and say something else if I can to that. I go back to the same thing I said about the people I met in the movie. Nobody told me that they want to turn off the immigration spigot. Nobody. What I do hear all the time, and I agree with as I've gotten into the subject, is that right now we take, I mean, you hear that people throw these numbers around. You know, I wish they'd throw those numbers around in cash. You know, I mean, there's 1.1 million people coming in here legally every year. There's 1.4 million. You know how many people that is? That's like filling up Yankee Stadium once a month and just letting them come in, and it never, ever, ever, ever stops. That number has to come down because the legal immigration triggers the illegal immigration. Because somebody sits there and says, well, you know, I'm on a list, and eventually I'm going to get in there. My mom's in there now, my brother's in there now. I might as well just go and just wait on the papers. You get a lot of them. Okay, you get a lot of them.
I just wanted to tell you that my family story is that they sat in exile in other countries for 8 years waiting to legally enter this country. We were told that it would take them a year to a year and a half. It ended up taking them 8 years.
And they waited, right?
And they waited.
And then they deserve to be here.
They waited to come in legally, and they came in educated and with assets, and they have been an asset to this country.
I agree. I agree. Agree completely.
I just say that my sister is a farmer in Florida, and she employs migrant workers. She does whatever the government tells her in the way of checking documentation, but she can tell you that Florida could not exist without migrant workers. The agricultural system.
No doubt you need a good, strong worker program. I got to let Mark answer.
We all hear that these people from Latin America come up here to make money and then go back to where it was so bad in the first place. What draws them back there, if it was so bad in the first place, when they can come up here and possibly find a pathway to citizenship, or maybe even live a little better here? What do they have when they return down here with their pot of money?
Their family and the equivalent of Donald Trump's money. Well, you know, you walk, yeah, let me tell you something. I told you right now you won 60 grand. You're like, oh, all right. You know, take 60 grand to Ecuador. You're going to be really happy.
Dennis?
Anybody else? What do we got?
All right, Dennis, thanks again for making the movie. I do think you did a good job of depicting it in an objective way. And I'm gonna make a comment, and I'd like to comment on it, but I want to make sure that we don't walk away from this with the impression that the government's failure to enforce immigration is some benign oversight. It is not. The fact of the matter is that the modern sustainability movement specifically states, and it is derived, by the way, from the United Nations, it states that closed borders are a source of social and economic injustice. And that has been specifically adopted by the United States government at the executive level in 1992. I've got it in writing in my office. So understand, what's happening in America today is a policy decision. It started at the federal level under Clinton and Bush. It's being promulgated actively and aggressively now by Obama and O'Malley in the state of Maryland. And it's called Agenda 21.
You want to take one more minute? We'll wrap it up? Want to take one more? We'll wrap it up?
All right, 2 more.
Okay.
I was late. I wasn't here. 2 more. One.
That's why thank you for making the film. As an original member of the Minuteman Project, I really appreciate you went down to Field Young back, spent a few days on the border. I've been there for 6 months. You know what it's like? You just have to multiply that by about 5,000 if you want to see the entire end-to-end. Another thing I'd like to mention is that you got into, and most discussions on immigration never mentioned it. I went with a reporter, we did an interview in Sierra Vista with a group of about 12 illegal aliens, all in Spanish, and we asked them 2 questions. Why did you come? Of course, you get the padding to make a better life for me and my children. The second question was, do you want to be an American? And you brought this up. We got about the same response. 7 out of 10 basically said no. 2 said definitely yes, 1 maybe. 2 of them basically spit in our face and said, you better learn to be Mexican. So I appreciate the work.
Thank you. You know, this is what I usually say before I start the movie, is that this film has been turned down by more than 30 film festivals in the country, including Phoenix, Tucson, Sacramento, California, Dallas, Texas, and a whole bunch in Florida. I think we got turned down on one in your area, the Washington, D.C. area. We got turned down by Chicago and Tribeca. Now, these places that I just mentioned at the end are where illegal immigration is supposed to be hitting hardest. And I truly believe it in my heart. The reason why it's turned down, I'm not the first filmmaker to ever get somebody to say they don't want to be an American. I'm just the first filmmaker to ever put it in the movie. Okay? So, you know, that's why it gets rejected. I mean, you tell me, the Tribeca Film Festival, you know, has Dennis Lynch's They Come to America film, and they've got Martin Spurlock's Why Do Men Shave Their Testicles and Buttocks? I lost.
All right, I'll bring it back to see this will be the last one.
Last one. This guy's had his arm up for a while. You're not going to read a chapter of the book, man, are you? There you go. That'll take it. All right. Yep.
Article 1, Section 9. The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation not exceeding $10 per person. Importation of such persons is the veiled reference to slavery. It is not immigration. I contest that it is not the federal government's jurisdiction, but in the states. Look at what importation is. It has to do with goods. Slavery, chattel. People come here with their own free will. We're not chattel or goods being imported.
Thanks. If I could just, I'd like to end on a statement. I'll make it short because I know Blaine, we have to go. A few things I'd like to say in parting. First of all, I want to say thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's a work night, school night, whatever. You should be very proud of yourselves for coming here. You should be proud because there's a lot of better things to do than sit in this movie theater for the last 3 hours. But this is the sort of thing that has to happen for the change to be made. Okay? When illegal immigrants want something, they show up in droves. When we want something, we throw the remote at the television. Okay? So this is the sort of thing. I'm going to ask